Yo, JD here, Lewis, and as you can see, we are not back on F1 2021 again because we are doing something very special today. We are driving a track that was one of my absolute favorite tracks to drive on a game called Project Gotham Racing 4, which was released back in 2007. So many years ago now, and I used to be absolutely obsessed with this track. I knew it like the back of my hand. I could draw it on a piece of paper, and it has stuck with me ever since. But unfortunately, PGR4 is no longer accessible. The servers have been shut down for a while now, and it was the first competitive racing game that I ever played back in 2007. And yeah, this footage here, which I've linked to YouTube down in the description. I used to absolutely love driving cars around here, but today we get that chance once again, but this time in a Formula 1 car, the W12 Mercedes F1 2021 car, and I'm really excited for this. As you can see, in a festive mood with the Santa Claus gloves on, and we actually have here from Paint Shop, which you can use on iRacing. I absolutely loved driving this car around Silverstone in my previous video, and if you want to see more iRacing videos, make sure you like the video. Please comment what you would like to see next in terms of a track and car combo. And thank you once again, Jogan. Sorry if I'm absolutely butchering people's names, for helping me set up this car properly this time. Because last time I didn't have any of the ERS mapping at all, didn't have the DRS, didn't have a setup on, and this time we actually have a custom setup on, and you can see we have got the MGUK in attack mode. So I'm still a complete noob at iRacing, and thank you so much for the comments on educating me on how to play this game. So please keep them coming as well. And I'll say it again, the feeling of the car and full feedback on iRacing. I know some people actually have complaints, especially with the braking, which is much better for me now since I'm actually using a 54 brake bias, as you can see on the steering wheel. I think my first video I was using a 57. It's much more manageable now. And here, this is my first full lap I've done of this track. You can see there are some sectors, purple sectors there. I did about half a lap quite slowly just to get used to the car and making sure all my wheel settings were correct. But now this is actually my first time going at a decent speed, and PGR4 has really helped me remember this track in terms of how you attack the corners. On that game it was the Caparo T1, which was the fastest car. Obviously this game is going to be the Formula 1 car, but the way you attack the corners is the same. And I think PGR4 was still probably one of my favourite games of all time because of how ahead of its time it was. Like 2007, and it had an online tournament mode, the physics of the game for its time. Even could drive this track backwards in the snow if you really wanted to. I think for its time, a lot of developers should really take inspiration from games such as that. Because without naming names, I think there's a lot of games that companies have had for a while that really should be much further ahead. But we won't name those in this video. But right here now, this is my first full experience of driving this, and the layout is almost exactly the same as it was on PGR. So knowing what corner is coming up next, whereas tracks like Jeddah and Portimao, when I tried that on the Formula 1 games, I had absolutely no idea of the layout. And on this, I haven't watched anyone else's videos around this track at all. I've literally just jumped in, and this is what I am experiencing. And this car just feels so good to drive on iRacing. And I said it in my Silverstone lap and that video, that the cars in the Codemasters games often feel quite disconnected, and Yeah, in this game, I just feel so much more connected to the car and so easy to lose it as well. Need to generate the downforce, otherwise you just lose all mechanical grip. And I think I was just getting used to the brakes, because I think the brakes in this game are one of the biggest things that you really need to get used to. So we're going to stay on board for this first full lap, and then I think for another lap as well. So I'm not going to be seeing too many laps in this video because the track is so long. I think it's almost about 10 miles long or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're driving the F1 Nürburgring and the Nordschleife combined. I think in total there's about 127 corners or something like that. I might be just chatting absolute, but yeah, it's a lot of corners. And one of my favourite corners coming up is the carousel, which there's actually 2 of them around this track, which I was really not aware of. Actually, I actually forgot from PGR4. So we're coming up to the first one here, the main one, the famous one. What line do you take? So we're going to go to the inside here, take it, no idea, and it feels like I'm on a skateboard or something like that at the moment. It just, I have no idea. I think you have to fully commit to it on the inside, or you go wide. I'll have to watch some other people's videos, but this is the section that I really enjoyed. This section to the end is probably my favourite part of this track, where going in at speed, it's just blind corner after blind corner. And unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see an F1 race here. Although it probably wouldn't be that much different from Jeddah in terms of safety. But I would absolutely love to see an F1 car going full speed around here, especially the modern cars like this Mercedes. It'd be absolutely incredible. And this corner here, knowing I have to go a bit slow and fast out as we get our first slow down warning, so we're going to just ease off a little bit until that disappears. And you know, this section here should be pretty much flat out, so you can see at the moment a little bit hesitant of how fast we can really go. But yeah, in terms of the feeling of the force feedback and just the sense of speed, which I know being in cockpit cam definitely delivers that much more. I really wish esports would maybe even consider forcing people to be in the cockpit cam, because I think it would be quite entertaining, as that's the second carousel. So I didn't realise there was actually that type of corner going through into there. So we're just about made it through this first lap, and now it's pretty much the world's longest straight going down here. Is there a straight actually longer than this on a real world track? Because this feels like this straight is about 2 miles long or more, something like that, as we're keeping it in 7th gear. So it's still just bouncing on that rev limiter, and we haven't even set a lap yet. So that's the thing of iRacing, a true sim. Gonna have to go round and start the clock. Can't just flash yourself before the start finish line then start the lap. You have to actually drive out the pits and go and do it. So if you spin on turn 1 when you start a lap, then that's a real ball ache if you do that around here, because you've got another 6 minutes. So now this is going to be our first lap where we are going to be pushing, so braking into here, being very cautious on the brakes, not knowing how hard we can push, going through into this turn 2, which I really enjoy. Normally you can go down the inside of people here. Drove this track on F1 2013. This is one of my favourite tracks to drive, but then a reminder that this is actually a simulator rather than an arcade game, and that's what I mean. Lap is pretty much completely over now, and you'd have to drive another 6 minutes to get back to the pits if it was in real life. So this is a track where you really have to know your limits a little bit. So we're going to finish this lap and see what it was. It's a 6 minute 59 laps, so about basically 7 minutes. So yeah, so let's see what we can do this time. Looking at our delta, which we actually don't have on the screen, but it will flash up in these sectors. So coming through into here, let's see what we can do this time. And in total, I did about 5 laps in total, so not really too long in this at all. And you can see, obviously, we're going to go purple through this sector. But every lap I did or every minute you could say, just throwing the car in with a little bit more speed, taking a little bit more risk on scores like this corner here. With the downforce, you could just carry so much speed going through that corner. Imagine being on board there. That would be absolutely insane. And same for these kind of corners as well. So coming up this hill, completely flat out, blind corner coming into here. Look, how do we do the carousel this time? So last lap we went tight. This time we actually go wide. If you look at our delta on the steering wheel, we are going to be making up a little bit of time. But I have a feeling that compared to the fastest drivers in the game, we're probably losing seconds in that corner, as well as we're just about made it through. So the delta is for every sector we do, and this time without spinning we do a 6-minute 42, so an improvement of 17 seconds, which is pretty good. So going to take a little bit more risk again. You can see we're slightly green on this delta. Moving into here now, we're about half a second down during this sector, but we started to gain a little bit more confidence with the car, so gaining a bit of speed through it. You can see on the exit we gained a lot of speed, and blind corner after blind corner. This is absolutely terrifying to drive it, but this corner really catches you out, and the rear brake's locked, smashing into the wall, and that is our session pretty much over. So we go back to the pits with Santa as our pit crew there, or whatever that is, and we're going to go out on some fresh tyres. And since this track is so long, we're not going to be showing all the laps here, otherwise we'd be here for about 30 minutes. But now we're going to start our next lap, so 6-minute 42 to beat. You saw how we did on the first lap on our out lap. Now let's see how much more we can improve. So going into this turn 1, braking at 100 meters forward, but the back end's wanted to get away from us, so the braking is a really difficult aspect of this game. Going through into turn 2, you can see we're up on our delta, so carrying a little bit more speed, coming to gaining some speed on the entry, short shifting into the third gear, keeping it nice and tight to get a good exit, and we're about 200s up on our fastest time. Go for it here, definitely carrying more speed this time. Turn nice and early into this right-hander, but again, watching this back, I can see there is just so much time that you could be gaining, and I think in the future I'll definitely be coming back to this as well. Coming through into this bottom hairpin, a really popular overtaking spot in the real F1. I really wish they will come back here, because I absolutely love the F1 track here as well. So coming to the top of the hill, up into 7th, down 3 gears into 4th gear, carrying that speed, let the downforce of the car. Coming through here, this is actually one of the only DRS zones we have, so adding the DRS here, so green lights on the top left of the wheel, that indicates the DRS is on. Coming into here, the chicane has changed over the years, so turning a bit later than you think, and now we go into the Nordschleife, going through into here, still leaving a little bit of time on the table, and I think we probably will be for every single corner, because if you crash here or go off track, there is absolutely no runoff zone at all. So let's see how much more confidence, and you can see much more confidence than we did on the first lap. So almost going flat out through it here, doing this actually pretty nicely, turning later than you think, trying to avoid the curb on the exit and try and get a good exit. And overall we actually have lost a little bit of time on the exit here. Now there's a blind hill, absolutely terrifying, completely flat out through this section. Do not even think about going off the throttle. Now going to here, I decided to actually keep it in 7th gear, so I felt like it would bog down a little bit too much going up into 8th. Now going into this bottom corner, carrying so much speed through it here, 160 kilometers an hour minimum speed going through into that corner, and now going absolutely flat out down this hill, almost 300 kilometers an hour as we hit the bottom of this hill, completely flat out for a left, take a lot of speed into this ramp, but then screaming to yourself to really slow down the car here. And overall we lost a bit of time once again, but I think it's towards the end of the lap where I knew I could make up the most amount of time. So flat out for this left, braking into this, so slow in, fast out of this corner. And this is the point where I can definitely get a lot of time. So nice late apex going into here. Not too much on the curb, on the exit. You can see the time we've gained. So this bit, you have to be absolutely committed going through into here. We can gain so much time. Do we crash this time going into this corner? Almost doing it again. Almost. That is definitely the hardest corner in terms of braking for me. But we still made up some time. Coming through into here. Almost crashing. But just about got away with it. And same with this exit as well. And we've lost a bit of time to the Delta, but we live to fight another day. Nod of disapproval, as you saw by my webcam here. So now, let's see how much speed we can carry, because this really is important for the momentum going up the straight. We're still 1.2 seconds down going through this sector, so not a good sector. Don't think I've actually seen any purple sector so far. But as I said, it's in the second half of the lap where there is a lot more time to be found. You can see that Delta is rising ever so slowly. It's a completely flat through here, threading the car through the corners, trying to minimize the speed loss going through into it. And now completely blind corner, try and carry more speed than you think into here. Now let's see how we do the carousel on this occasion. Do we go tight or do we go wide? And we actually decide to play the safe option, although I think probably the slower one. We go very, very wide, and you can see on the Delta, we've gained about 0.6 of a second back here. Now going through into the section. So that's our first purple sector. Going to his left, go a bit slower than you think. Try not to mount these curbs too much. So fourth gear, and this is where we can gain a lot of time. So trying to go almost flat out into here. Little lift of the speed. Going on the curves very, very nicely. Carry more speed than you think. Going through into here, so a little lift again, get that late apex nice and tight to this right hand side, running the curb on this exit, turn late apex, and this is the scariest part of the lap. So turn in earlier than you think, don't go on this curb on the exit, and you can see we're making up some time on the Delta going through into here. So this part's complete flat out. How do we do going into here? We almost go flat out, just a little hint of the brake, so we were very committed on the throttle going into here, and you can see how much time we've made up on the Delta going through into this section. So we've taken that section very, very well. A purple sector again, so 3 purple sectors in a row, carrying a lot of speed through here. So then we did that very, very nicely. And what did we do? We actually got wide here as well, so not quite confident enough to go on that carousel part of the track here. Do we go flat into a little lift? So don't quite have the bravery yet to go flat out, which I think it should probably be an easy flat out. Put my head down to try and get a little bit of slipstream. You can see we're carrying that momentum all the way down the straight, but the final braking zone is very, very difficult as well. So the speed is about 280 kilometers an hour, about half a second up on this sector split as well. So a 6:42 to beat. Let's see what we can do going through into here. So we're in that attack mode, threading the car through into this left-handed brake in a straight line, and we don't do that too badly. Getting a good exit off this main straight, and what is the time going to be? It is going to be a 6:36, if I can read that right. Yeah, 6:36.67. You can see it on the steering wheel. That is my experience at the Nordschleife. Thank you so much for the support. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what track you want to see next for me and car combo. Thank you, Jürgen, for the advice in terms of setting up this car. I will be trying to make my way to Formula 1 through these licenses at some point. So that should be a pretty exciting experience. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and I'll be catching you very, very soon. Peace.